Hello and welcome to Tangerine, and the first game we're looking at is Dishonored 2.
Yeah, I still just love. We said this in the test screen, but I just love like the art of the. I guess of the ships and the things as well, but just in
I
general,
I love the art of
just
this
really
whole
cool.
game, sort of thing. So,
Yeah,
if you haven't played the original Dishonored, this does follow on from the story of Dishonored 1, so spoiler alert for Dishonored 1. I just kind of want to
yeah.
show off the void and kind of the more magical side of this. The story of Dishonored 2 is that basically there's a new usurper to the throne, and that basically I have to talk about Dishonored 1 to go into the story, kind of. So if you haven't played Dishonored 1, I will be spoiling some stuff, I guess. So in
I
Dishonored
haven't
1,
played this on as well.
sorry, Tony, but you're going to hear about what happens in Dishonored 1. In Dishonored 1, you play as
I'll just close my ears.
in Dishonored 1, you play as Corvo, who is the guard of the Queen and kind of an assassin, I guess. But then you get framed for her assassination. You then want to escape and expose the people who framed you and protect Emily, the child of the Empress, who is also your daughter. And then in the second game, after the events of Dishonored 1, basically you go your good or evil path or whatever your path you chose down. You then start ruling over the kingdom again, and I guess empire, because you're like an empress or something. And then in the second game, you have apparently the queen had a sister, and she's been training with the she trained with the outsider, who is the guy who gives you these magical powers inside the game that you can use. It's very much like an RPG immersive sim kind of game. If you've never played Dishonored, yeah, she basically she partners up with another one of the characters who has a different realm, who has another like city inside the big empire, and he has these very powerful clockwork soldiers who are like these very powerful robotic warriors. And then basically she says, I have a better claim to the throne because I am the sister of the empress that was called. And then she takes over, and then at that point, which is different from the original Dishonored, you get to choose whether to play as Emily, the daughter who is now a full-grown woman, or you get to continue playing as Corvo from the first game. And there is a difference between the two characters because Corvo is very much about quick movements and quick blinking, whereas Emily's more about well thought out, slow stealthing, but her blink ability goes a lot further, but it's not as quick as Corvo's, and there's a difference in a few abilities. But for this run, I decided that I was going to play a full Ghost non-lethal playthrough. So I went in completely blind. I don't know nothing about Dishonored 2 before playing, but I decided that my first playthrough, I would never be seen by an enemy, and I would never kill anyone. So I think that was kind of a bold choice from me. I think maybe
Okay.
doing that on a previous playthrough would have been better if I got to know the game a bit more, but I'm somebody who personally really enjoys stealth games. I know the original Dishonored is one of my favorite stealth games. I believe in Dishonored 1, I went more so of the approach of I'm going to do stealth, but if I get caught, fuck it, I'll just kill people and then carry on. Like, whatever,
Right,
I'll
yeah.
fight my way out sort of thing, kind of Assassin's Creed style.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I felt like I used a lot of the killing it. I feel like the game and abilities can be a lot more fun when you're using just the when you're using the more lethal abilities, but there is a lot of like skill and a lot of like cool stuff you can do when you go down the stealth non-lethal path. Like, I found I was using a lot more abilities I never would have used if I didn't go down this path. So I was using stuff like Mesmer, where you can put down like this thing that stuns a bunch of guards, so you can walk past them. And there's you have to use like blinding darts and non-lethal darts a lot more and stuff like that to make sure you don't get seen. You can also use like chloroform bottles to distract people. Creating a illusion of yourself and sending it out, and the guards seeing it and running at it and attacking it doesn't count as you being seen. That counts as your illusion being seen. So there's like, I felt like I was on the wiki a lot trying to figure out which abilities I could use in a ghost non-lethal playthrough and which abilities I can't use in a ghost non-lethal playthrough. It's kind of interesting what you can and can't use. Because obviously, if I was doing just, for example, if I was doing just ghost, I could have gone down the RPG path of there's an assassination ability that means when you kill people, it turns their bodies to ash immediately, so you don't have to worry about their bodies. But because of my non-lethal path I'm going down, I have to choke people out and make sure they're still alive, and then put their body somewhere where they won't be seen. And it's also interesting because like you can like kill someone by proxy as well, so you have to be careful where you put your bodies. Because it say I choke someone out, and then I put them on like the edge of a cliff and they fell off and drowned because they were unconscious. That would count as a kill.
Yeah.
Or if I shot someone with a sleep dart and they fell into the ocean and died, that would be a kill as well. But yeah, I've actually been having a lot of fun playing through Dishonored 2 this way. I really enjoyed Dishonored 1. I started playing this because I played Dishonored 1 and I really enjoyed it. And then I never played Dishonored 2 or Death of the Outsider, but I purchased them probably like 2 or 3 years ago. This was me like, oh shit, I got seen. So this is kind of where you'll see like, I'm just going to quick save and quick load to be like, I don't want to fuck up my achievement sort of thing. Like, I think a lot of like the ghost non-lethal thing, there is a bit of save scumming towards it sort of thing. Like,
I think it's fine though, because it's already the challenge of like not being seen and non-lethal. So
it's a non-hardcore run of Ghost. So there's even like I think this is really hard to do, but there's even harder ones. Like you can mix and match, of course, but you could do like Ghost non-lethal. No abilities. You could do like a Thief run, like the original, like the original Thief games, or the Thief remake from like 2013 sort of thing. It would be more like that. I have played I played a bit of like the Thief remake, and I liked a lot of stuff like the water arrows where you can shoot out like the lanterns to take away the light. I thought was really cool. Stuff like that. Yeah. But that's then really cool, I do miss the like lack of abilities. You get in Dishonored like. I think like the abilities of Dishonored really make it.
It's like the magic of the world is very interesting and really.
Like for example, it seems like these people here are trying to bait me out to get spotted, or they could just be actors. Sometimes like there'll be someone screaming out "Help! Help!" and then there'll be like a gang will ambush you. So what I had to do for that was I had to quickly. I had to find the position of everybody in stealth and take them out. This is the chloroform bottle trick. I dropped a bottle of chloroform. That doesn't count as being seen, even though I dropped a bottle of chloroform. The guard comes to have a look at this, immediately walks into the chloroform cloud and just knocks himself out. And I was like, oh, I guess that works. Okay. But going back, so that, like the ambush, I had to immediately, in quick succession, take out every person that was going to ambush me, and had to take them out in a way where the other people who were waiting for the ambush didn't see that the other person had been taken down, just so I could get like this rune and bone charm that was over there. Runes are how you get new skills and upgrade your skills, and then bone charms are like optional things you can equip to change how the game works. A lot of them are like useless because of the way I'm playing the game, but some of them are really interesting. Like there's some that are like your sword does more damage but you get less mana or something. Like I have one that makes my maximum mana increased. That's pretty useful.
Okay.
Like another example is with runes. There's actually a rune tree you can go down that means you can craft your own bone charms. I haven't gone down that tree, but that's pretty interesting.
Okay.
I went in this room and I was like, I can't be seen by this person because obviously I'm playing Ghost. But then I reached behind him, and then he was like, "Oh, hello. You can have a look around. I'm the shopkeeper." So some NPCs you can see and interact with. I was like, "Why the hell is there a rune in here?"
Okay.
Did you see the guys on the boat at the beginning? Some NPCs you can be seen by because they don't interact with the story or they're not guards. And some you can interact, but some you can't, and it's not always clear which you can and can't interact with, which is a little criticism I have of the Ghost playthrough. Bullets are pretty useless to me because I can't kill people. So it's kind of interesting, like the stuff that you build. I wanted to build the rune.
The fact you can't just throw bullets at people.
The thing I would make it better is if I could sell stuff, because I have an inventory full of explosives, bullets, lethal darts, and I wish I could sell those because they're useless to me.
Yeah, I think survival elements like Resident Evil 4 is really good. Like you can sell the stuff you don't need and then buy the stuff you do need. I think that's like a really cool component of some of Resident Evil 4. I think it probably work here as well. It makes sense.
It seems like there's some way you could actually break into this guy's shop and steal stuff by the looks of it. Like it looks like it's teasing that sort of thing. I always find that stuff really interesting. Like each level, it's kind of similar to Hitman, where it's these big open sandbox levels and there's multiple ways to do everything. I have the ability for when I go into Shadow Walk, I can go through drains and turn into a rat. So that's what I was trying to do there. I was trying to turn into a rat and see if I could sneak into this guy's shop and steal his stuff. I'm kind of morally grey on my playthrough. I kind of just steal from everyone. This was the Mesmer ability I was talking about. And this is really, really important for the stealth playthrough because there comes times where you have to create this... you basically have to get past like 3 guards at once. So the Mesmer ability is really important for the stealth non-lethal playthrough for sure. Because like sometimes you can upgrade the ability so it kills people, but you don't want to do that stuff obviously for non-lethal. But obviously, another interesting thing about the Mesmer ability is dogs are one of the hardest things in the non-lethal. Dogs and witches are really annoying because witches have magical abilities. They're very hard to take out. And dogs can spot you, and you can't really non-lethally take them down. So mesmering them is a very good way to get around them. Actually, later in this level, it turns out the person I have to take out is a witch. So once I got inside of the mansion, I was trying to take her out non-lethally. So what I did was I mesmered the dogs, snuck up behind her, was trying to assassinate her. She immediately turns around. She's like, "Huh, you didn't think you could do that, did you?" And I was like, "What?" And then I tried to shoot a non-lethal dart at her to take her out stealthily. It immediately turned into a blood fly and came back at me and started trying to kill me. Because she's a witch, so she's got magical powers like me. So I can't just take her out like she's some old, person sort of thing. So what I had to do was I had to reattune these lenses that were supposed to be thrown away. I put them into this machine, and I then used it to take away her witch powers, and then she wasn't a threat anymore. Like, I always find the non-lethal takedowns, I see a tripwire there. That's where you got to be careful of, because sometimes there's traps in areas, and that can set off alarms. The non-lethal takedown is really important. The reason I started playing this again, actually, I was going to mention, was because I saw the Arcane documentary from NoClip, and it had the Half-Life Ravenholm footage and stuff, but it also went into Dishonored and stuff. And they said on that game, they designed the game so you killed everyone to assassinate them, right? But then once they'd designed the game, they said, you know what? We could actually make this so you don't have to kill anyone. So they sat down and they wrote down non-lethal assassinations for every single target, and they said, that's really interesting, because they made like immersive sims before, like Arc Fatalis. They were like, well, you can actually play this game without killing anyone. That's really interesting. And it actually became one of the defining features of the series was the ability for non-lethal takedowns. Like, I think one of the most memorable non-lethal takedowns from the original Dishonored was the fact that you could make this this slave trader unconscious, and then you could shave off his head and force him to work in his own mines and cut out his tongue so he couldn't tell anyone who he was. So he would still be alive technically, but it was this very like grim fate sort of thing where he was still technically alive, but he was like, it was very what's the word? Poetic justice, I guess that's one way to describe it. Like he had to work in his own slave mines where he's forcing people to work, sort of stuff like that. And I always find the non-lethal takedowns really interesting. So that's I like stealth.
More interesting.
I think the non-lethal takedowns are a lot more interesting. So that's kind of why I decided to do this. Doing it blind was probably a bad idea because now every time I stop playing for a little bit, I get like a little bit of game anxiety for having to go through all the levels and make sure I'm not spotted, make sure I don't kill anyone. It's like, it takes me so much. This is the mesmer ability I was talking about.
I've been waiting for you.
So I start making this guy unconscious, and then this guy's in range to become unconscious for the mesmer ability to work, because I've only got the level 1 ability, so it can only hit 2 people.
Okay.
But this
upgrades.
So this actually makes I'd say Mesmer's probably best in slot for the stealth playthrough. It's very, very... But at the end of the day, it's still balanced because it costs 6 runes, which is really expensive.
Right, okay. So that's like the upgrade system is like for the runes, right?
Yeah. So the amount of power you have in your character will directly be affected by how long you spend on levels doing the optional objectives to get all the runes and the bone charms. Which is why cool. I would spend sometimes 4 hours just on one level. And the levels are huge as well. Like I would go and I would get all the bone charms and runes and stuff because there are some very powerful bone charms that you can get, and some, of course, runes are very important to upgrade your character. And I just find it interesting that I've built my character in a way to help Ghost and to help non-lethal, but there's tons of other stuff that would have helped Ghost and non-lethal that I haven't built down yet that I can still go down, or in another run I could go down. And I find it interesting. There's a lot of player expression, it feels like. So you saw the door was locked with a tripwire down there. So I found it by mesmering the guards and taking them out, I can now go inside the Overseer's outpost. So it turns out the Overseer has a sneaking suspicion that the witch character I was talking about might be a witch, and he's been spying on her. So what I need to do now is I need to listen to his audiograph to figure out the information he knows that's going to help me take out the witch lady. But the only problem is, as soon as I start playing the audiograph, he's going to wake up from his slumber. So I've basically got to go around, I've got to disarm these traps, and then I've got to figure out a way to kind of distract him, non-lethally make him unconscious, and then listen to the audiograph, and then to help me take down this witch lady. And there's tons of these really interesting side missions you can do. There's tons of reading and lore if you really want to get into the lore of the game. There was tons of reading and stuff in the first Dishonored. There's a great universe in this game. So yeah.
It was a lot of effort on the small details.
I've already put a lot of time into Dishonored 2. I think I'm fairly close to it. I think I've got a few missions left, and then I should be nearest the end. So looking forward to finishing the game. And that definitely one to check out if you're interested in immersive sims, RPGs, or stealth games, or anything like that. Dishonored 2, very fun game so far, and Dishonored 1's great as well. Hopefully I can play Death of the Outsider as well. That's another one I wanted to play. So we'll check out the next Tangerine game, which is Polybridge.
Very, very different game.
Yeah. I bet, how I was saying, sometimes I got anxiety. I was like, I don't want to go through 4-hour level today and play the full Ghost playthrough. I was like, well, I'll just install Polybridge and play that as a little game to play in between when I was just waiting or just talking to people or whatever. I found with this game it can be quite relaxing and quite fun. But I've found sometimes it gets to a point where I find the puzzles so frustrating and impossible that I feel like I'm not having fun anymore. I feel this sometimes with a lot of puzzle games. where some puzzles are really fun, but especially like the hydraulics puzzles are really confusing and very hard to like. I've done some hydraulics bridges and they're pretty good, but I felt like after I got to like the end of World 2, I think there's about 6 or 7 worlds, I think, but by the time I got to the end of World 2, I found some of the puzzles were getting to a point where I wasn't really enjoy. I would spend like an hour on a puzzle just trying to figure it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I felt like I wasn't enjoying myself as much as I should have, and I felt like a lot of the bridges I was making was super janky, sort of thing. I was like, well, if it works, it works, sort of thing. But yeah, I did have fun in the beginning. I haven't played Polybridge 2. Maybe that fixes some of the issues. I'm not sure. I knew anytime I recorded Polybridge footage, it would probably just be me failing to make a bridge for like an hour.
Okay. You got a budget as well. Okay.
Yeah, you can go over budget. You don't have to. I went in with the you can be a certain amount over budget and then you run out of money, sort of thing.
Right.
I went in with the mindset that I'm just going to build a bridge, and if I'm over budget, I'm over budget. Like I wasn't going to min max it, sort of thing.
It's an art piece to you, not an engineering project.
Yeah, well, I'm a pretty terrible engineer. I've learned from playing this game. I think the one thing I do find that is good about this game is if you're really struggling on a puzzle, you can play any of the puzzles in any order you want. If you're stuck on a puzzle, you can just skip to the next puzzle. You don't have to do it. I think I skipped this one, and then I go on to the fabled hydraulic puzzle again. So this is where it's starting to get really complicated. So here's the order it goes in. A1 goes across, and then so it starts off. The cruise ship and the camper van goes, then hydraulics activate, then A1 goes, and then the other cruise ship comes, then the hydraulics come, and then the E camper van. You see where this is starting to get a bit complicated on World 2.
Yeah, is that the that's good system already. Just leave it at that one. I like that one. Yeah, it's one of the things like I feel like if you're good at engineering, like you get like way more fun out of it.
But the thing is, I spent like so long on I think it was specifically this bridge. I spent like 2 hours trying to figure it out, right?
Really?
And I eventually was like, okay, I'm gonna look up online what people are saying is a good solution for it, right? So I go online and look at a guide for this level, and the bridge he built was so fucking janky. I was like, how are they expecting an average player to figure something like that out when a guide for this bridge builds like the most jankiest fucking hydraulics bridge you've ever seen in your entire life? And I'm like, holy shit. I think they're expecting to I feel like I like every bridge that isn't a hydraulics bridge at this point, because hydraulics is so much harder than the rest of the game, sort of thing.
Right. I'd like an engineer to review this game.
Yeah, I
think that's what I need.
I'm gonna say, like, I wouldn't mind playing this game if I had someone like watching me that was like really good at hydraulics or something and could help me out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it just comes to that grinding halt point where you're like, I just don't know what to do anymore. I'm not having fun almost, sort of thing. Like, I'm just kind of bashing my head into a wall, sort of thing.
I like the solution here of like, let's just ignore the hydraulics. They're just better. Let's build a round.
Let's just build a bit above the fucking the other one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure about. There's definitely some like physics flavors that I could see like that could be optimized, but I'd have to like play the game to like figure out what options you actually have. So
it's just the classic Joe and Tony playing puzzle games, and it's not good.
Yeah.
Let's skip ahead and look at some more of my designs. Oh, I do eventually get a okay looking bridge here, I think. One thing I found really useful.
Does it work?
Initially, you just have your thing go across and you're not sure how it works, but eventually, the turning on in the options, the ability to see the stress of your bridge is really useful. It'll show you where all of the stress is coming down on your bridge. Like you see the color change. That's really useful. The ability to slow down and speed up the simulation is really useful because sometimes you want to slow it down really slow and see exactly where the tension is, and sometimes you want it to be really fast. You're like, I just want to see how the bridge performs at this one point, but I have to wait for all this stuff to happen first. So you just want to skip past it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Look.
I feel like that's like, oh my god. Wait, okay. Does this? Oh.
Yeah, I was trying to get around the hydraulics.
Yeah.
I built so many different bridges. And then eventually I think I tried to make this into a jump bridge that goes over the gap. So because then that goes up and then I was like, I can make this jump.
I love it.
I was just playing around with these, trying to make this jump so I could actually get around it. I think the actual the guide I saw was like, you make the car, you have to make the car go up here to get the button.
Right.
But then there was like a hydraulics bridge above it, sort of thing, that was built on a diamond, and it didn't really make sense to me how it was working. I was like, what the fuck is this? That's too floppy. It's too floppy. So I gotta put the expansion down on the bridge. I almost got this fucking janky thing to work, but it was just like, I don't think it was ever gonna work, sort of thing. It was like, it was kind of close, but I think it was never gonna be like a fully working bridge, and I felt like I definitely wasn't going in the direction the game wanted me to, but I also felt like I didn't know what else to do because the level was so complicated. Like, I've said this before, but I feel like this game is fun until it's not fun. That is how I describe it.
I think
building bridges is fun, but then when you get puzzles like this, where you're just hitting your head into a wall, that's where I'm like, I'm just not having fun anymore. I might be done with this game. So yeah. That's Tangerine, Dishonored 2, Polybridge. Check out those games if you're interested in them. Goodbye.
Bye.